We welcome you here tonight to the 7th race of the season for the TNR Master Millwright Big Block Series. Second half of the season is officially underway as we're here tonight to begin the qualifying races at Lernerville. I'm Seth Cole alongside of Matthew Rodriguez. And Matt, I got a question for you that's twofold because we talked most of the first half of the season about Bobby Trapper being a 3-time winner, but it looks like Kenneth Drake is turning up the wick. So the question is, has he found his groove? And two, can he use the second half of the season to make it a title fight in 7 weeks' time?
I mean, I kind of go back to the same thing where Kenneth Drake has been on a hot seat recently. He has been just on it. But, I mean, even last week, seeing after Trapper got involved in a giant wreck, and we were, or at least I was writing him out, he managed to fight back for a second place finish. And that's the thing that Kenneth Drake can't afford. He needs Trapper to have a few bad weeks, get himself right back in there, and kind of make the fight a little bit closer.
And especially needed him to find bad luck, talking about Trapper last week, because last week was one of 2 opportunities drivers have for double points. A lot of points could have been gained last week if Trapper wasn't able to finish up inside the top 5, but because of that second place finish, the gap between himself and Kenneth Drake still maintains about 45 points as the green flag's in the air. We're already exchanging some sheet metal.
Oh! 69 if Trapper got tapped. He's still going straight.
Now keep an eye, folks, on the outside of the racetrack here. From turn 1 over to turn 4, there is no wall to save these drivers on the outside of the racetrack. You go off, you're off into who knows where.
You'll be meeting with Shrek in the swamp over there.
Does Shrek live in Georgia? Did not realize this.
You learn new things every day.
New things every day, or in this case, every night. Well, anyway, Tony Lucarelli, he's opened up a half-second gap back to Don MacArthur, and it's going to be interesting to see, based on the fact that there is no outside wall there, just how racy these guys are going to get, or is this kind of just a race of self-preservation, collect a little bit of data for the 35-lapper later on?
I mean, it kind of goes varying depending on who's here. I mean, if I'm someone like Bobby Trapper, hey, I need to get up in that top 3. I need these points. But if I'm someone like, hey, if I'm Thomas Oleski or if I'm Kenneth Drake, well, I mean, I'd say Kenneth Drake needs to be up there too, but if I'm someone like Don MacArthur or Tony Lucarelli, I mean, I'd kind of use this as an experimentation session. Like, all right, well, this is how the track's going to be on new, kind of freshly ground tracks. So I need to figure out what line's going to work best for me. Now, the one thing that's making me a bit concerned, but I know these drivers are doing it for a very good reason, has to be looking at how far they're pushing out on that turn. I believe you said around turn 2, turn 3, where there being almost no wall, no edge over there. It's just put one wheel out of place, try to get as much as you can, and you are gone.
Almost like walking a tightrope here. Here's the battle for third place between your top 2 in points, Kenneth Drake and Bobby Trapper. Now remember, points do get paid out in these heat races. The top 5 drivers in each respective heat get points. 5 for the race winner, 4 for second, 3 on down to 1 for third through 5th. So right now, with Kenneth Drake holding down third place and Bobby Trapper currently in 4th, Kenneth Drake would pick up 1 point in this heat on the 69.
And you got to think, I mean, obviously, Kenneth has that in his mind, and Bobby has that in mind too, where, hey, I mean, I've at least got to get my trying to contend for third just to get a little bit of fraction of advantage.
White flag in the air for Tony Lucarelli.
Oh, no! Kenneth Drake goes on!
And he is off there. You can't even find his race car. You just barely saw the roof there. As off 4, it's going to be Lucarelli by about a length and a half over Don MacArthur. Trapper's going to get third, Oleski in 4th, and Drake will come around to at least salvage a point here in this heat, finishing in 5th with Garrett Gleason finishing out the rest of the field.
At least there's a little bit of a feelings known about that lap 1 incident of Don MacArthur.
Well, I mean, checkered flag is out, so you can voice your displeasure there if you so choose, and it'll now set us up for our second heat race of the night. 11 drivers scheduled to take the green flag in the 35-lap main event. It'll be Jason Freeman who's going to line up on the pole position for this one. Freeman still in the top 5 in points, 4th in the stands, but 67 points out. Sorry, correction, I'm dyslexic. 76 points out. Brian Rubel will line up in 2nd. David Harvey, who actually was the fastest in practice, so keep an eye on that 17 car. He'll roll off 3rd alongside of Bobby Puckett, and we're waiting to see if third in points Billy Thornton will get on track here for this heat. He did get into the server about maybe 3 minutes before practice, did not lay down a qualifying lap, and we'll see if he's actually going to maybe start tail into the field for the main event, or if he's even going to start. If he doesn't, then that's a big opportunity for Jason Freeman to move up into the top 3 in the standings after tonight.
Talk about Billy Thornton there a little bit. I mean, he around Eldora, I mean, he was really looking dominant. I mean, obviously came out with the win there. It kind of looked like he was going to be the guy to go out and kind of battle Bobby Trapper for this championship lead. But I mean, ever since Lanier, I mean, he just hasn't looked the same.
We've been talking about that back straightaway area, how there's no wall. How about the way these guys came off of pit road? Almost like there was a jump there. They had to land their car down on the racing surface from that bit of an elevated pit lane exit. And David Harvey almost didn't even make it onto the racetrack safely. That thing almost spun out on him when 4 tires hit the ground.
I mean, Seth, we both know it from experience. There's nothing like trying to jump over the car in front of you and kind of having that thought that we're not going to make it.
Everybody wants to drive the General Lee. Jason Freeman behind the pace car here. They get 2 pace laps, with it being a short track. They should be turned loose this next time around, and we'll wait and see if maybe these guys will get a little bit racy. We saw a lot of aggressiveness at the initial start of the first heat race, but as things got spread out, drivers kind of got single file and just started logging laps. We'll see if the case will be here, as another 10 laps wait for us here in heat number 2 to finally set the field for the 35 lap main event.
It may not look like it, but that turn 1 entrance is extremely wide, which gives the driver a lot of room to, hey, maybe I can make the top lane work, or let me see if I can just dive all the way down to the inside wall, and let me see if I can make that work.
I talked about David Harvey having a good effort in practice. He has now dropped to 4th of this group of 4. Billy Thornton did not make it to the green flag of Brian Rubel and David Harvey. I think they just ran the exact same line because they had the exact same spin. Rubel's able to drive away. Harvey is not. That car is up on the left side and has to teleport to pit lane.
I mean, that's what we call following some guy off the cliff, where, I mean, here's the thing. If you're kind of unfamiliar with his track, or you're still trying to learn the lines, or hey, if you're feeling a little bit slow and you're just trying to match the guy in front of you, you're starting to run the same line, then it's almost hypnotic, where if the guy in front of you taps the wall, I mean, it's most likely you're going to drive right in there with him. Unfortunately,
Lemming number 1, David Harvey, Lemming number 2.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's no wall to catch him this time.
No, not at all, as now it's going to be just a 2-horse fight here for this heat win. Jason Freeman about 1.5 seconds over Bobby Puckett, and I kind of get the feeling, Bobby Puckett, I know, would love to win this heat, but with the fact that 50% of the field that took the green flag now finds themselves either on pit road or way back, I think Puckett's just looking around saying, yep, I'm fine, this is good.
I mean, you got to think Brian Rubel's really in the best position here, because he will get points for this. Regardless, even though he was involved in an accident, he is 3rd. The top 3 will receive, heat points. So definitely that aids him. Jason Freeman, I think, is one of the guys who will really kind of benefit from taking a heat victory here, since he has been in hot pursuit of Kenneth Drake and Billy Thornton in the past few weeks, and this definitely will kind of help him close the gap just slightly.
Yeah, we ended up... Oh, Freeman!
Oh, well...
freewheeling it, and he brings it back on the track. That is one thing you can do. I don't know if you saw the front wheels going left and right. He kept driving that thing. If you overstep the cushion, there is just a little bit of an area there where the left front will grasp the track, and you can maybe bring it back up onto the racing surface. So just barely hanging on there was Jason Freeman. That shows how much of a wheelman he is.
I don't know if it was so much as being wheelman as when you see there's an embankment drop on the right side, how your adrenaline kicks in and just yanks the wheel back left. Says, get me out of here.
And that's just the heat race. He's still got 35 laps coming up of having to do this. He will take the checkered flag. Puckett will finish 2nd. Rubel and David Harvey will complete the top 4. And Billy Thornton, as we mentioned, did not take the green flag, so he will get credited for 5th in this heat. And back to your point there about Jason Freeman, a very important win for him here because of the fact he's trying to get himself up there into the championship. 5 bonus points for him because of that heat win. Kenneth Drake only got 2, and drawing a blank there. Bobby Trapper only got 3 points in their heat, so a little bit of a net gain there for the driver of the 20.
Honestly, looking here right now, it looks like Kenneth Drake is on pole here with David Harvey on the outside. Harvey kind of lucked out there with kind of flipping out. He did become basically the outside pole sitter.
I got a question for you here, and I don't know if this is the case or not. Maybe if we end up having him finish in the top 3, we can ask him this. But remember the way that this whole thing is done in terms of the starting lineup. The better you finish in your heat, the worse your starting position will be in the main event. Kenneth Drake went off track in his heat race, finished 4th of the 6 drivers. Did he know that with finishing 4th there, he would start out in front for the main event, was willing to give up a couple of points in the heat race in order to get this good starting track position?
I mean, here's the thing. I won't say it was on purpose, because obviously anyone who really goes on this racetrack, they'd love to take a victory regardless whether it's, hey, trying to avoid a wreck or just flat out dominating. I don't really think this was intended, but hey, it's this is a nice little present for flipping over. But obviously, I'm kind of in that boat of track position. I'd rather take the track's position than start in the back of the field with a few extra points. Just because you've seen how chaotic it is at multiple tracks this season, just trying to work your way up. And especially at this track where space is really being a premium here. And you can't exactly kind of rip the fence like you're used to, and there's no gentle force to say, oh, hey, you've overstepped your boundaries. I don't know about that.
Kenneth Drake last week became the 2nd driver this season with multiple trips to victory lane. 2 for him, 3 for Bobby Trapper. He'd love to join Trapper as a 3-time winner. David Harvey, the front row with him. That's going to be Thomas Oleski and Brian Rubel in row 2. Bobby Trapper will roll off on the inside of row 3 with Bobby Puckett, Don MacArthur and Jason Freeman in row 4. And then the final row, row 5, will have Tony Lucarelli and Garrett Gleason. It looks like Billy Thornton, 3rd in points, will not even make the start here tonight as green flags in the air. 35 green flag laps of racing here tonight at Lernerville.
They passed line 3 wide there.
And they may be 3 wide coming out of turn 2. Oleski took a look. Couldn't quite get there alongside of Kenneth Drake, who continues the side-by-side battle with David Harvey off of 4.
Don MacArthur just got a little bit of the back of Bobby Puckett, but they all stay straight.
Harvey up on the top. Drake moves up to the top. Down on the bottom is Bobby Trapper. We've seen this before. He likes the shorter way around the racetrack, and he makes it work. He's going to go 3 wide with, I believe that's Brian Rubel and Bobby Puckett. Right now, the 69 is up to 4th after starting back in the 8th position.
It's definitely worth noting what Bobby Trapper is doing. Obviously, he's kind of seeing that high line is a little bit congested right now. Obviously, at least with it being a fresh track, that high line's going to have a little bit more grip, as we've seen in the heats. But hey, there is an advantage of taking the at least non-preferred line where maybe it can psych some people out, get them off the top lane, kind of free it up for you.
As we saw there just moments ago with David Harvey going into turn 1, seems like every area of this straight track is out to get you. It's a little bit of a bump, an uphill bump up against the wall going into turn 1. Harvey hit that, almost had the entire right front tire come off the ground.
And that's the thing, you just got to be careful of weight shifting these cars. I mean, obviously it's all great that we can really push the limits on these cars. If the right rear tire is your load-bearing tire here, that's what you're using to slide through the corner, and that steps off, well, you're going to be in a world of pain when you're trying to shift the car back over to get it out of there.
Now, the thing that we got to think about here, too, is mentioned 35 green flag laps. I'm not absolutely certain that if a car flips off the racetrack on the back straightaway, it would technically be off the racing surface. I'm not sure that a car that runs off the track back there would bring out a full course yellow. As we got a car off the track back there, was that Oleski in the 22, I do believe.
Correct, and really what happened to Oleski is he just kind of overdrove the corner, tried to get a little bit too much on Kenneth Drake, and overdrove the corner. Didn't hit anything, but he almost pinched Rubel.
He almost slid it around there that time going into turn 3, almost over-rotated, but for the moment going to keep Don MacArthur and Brian Rubel in his rearview mirror for that 4th position. Meanwhile, up at the 2nd spot, Bobby Trapper trying to close in on Kenneth Drake and David Harvey, trying to make it a 3-man fight for this win. David Harvey's been a guy that's really impressed us during the course of the season, shown a lot of speed at different tracks in the first half, just hasn't been able to close the deal. Is tonight his night? He slams the door on Kenneth Drake there.
That's the thing, Harvey is He's kind of still up there in points. Currently, he's P8, about 148 back. Obviously, there's kind of that desperation from Kenneth Drake. It's not panic mode yet, but obviously, the season's winding down. He's off the track. He's in the wall.
For the time being, they're all going to keep it straight. Freeman trying to get his car back up to speed, and not sure if he's trying to feel out his race car, if there's any suspension problems, or if he already has got suspension problems, because that car did not look too steady going into turn 1, and now Freeman's off again.
And the 41 of Lucarelli just got put in the wall by, looks like Bobby Puckett.
Caution.
That Jason Freeman incident will definitely bring out the caution.
Yeah, caution's got to come out. I think a big reason for that is where Freeman spun. He was going to have to come out in front of the race leaders in order to re-merge back onto the track. So,
I say
bring out the yellow flag for the first time tonight on lap 13.
Realistically, we really have two incidents to look at here, both the 40 and the 41 on the front straightaway coming out forward, but also the 20. And I'm kind of looking at the 20 here, and I think that was the reason he was kind of being a bit gentle in the car after he came back from spinning out, because again, we've heard drivers talk about it in and out where, yes, these cars are tanks in a way, but once you affect that rear spoiler, that's pretty much all your downforce gone. So I think that was really what happened.
Well, not only that, but when we talk with drivers, they say, if you end up having something like that happen, you mentally get shaken, and it takes you a couple of laps to get back into your rhythm.
Well, there's people who react differently to it where, at least I know I'm kind of the guy who, if I hit the fence, I'm going to be taking it a bit more conservatively than I have in the past few laps. And then obviously there's some guys who are saying, all right, well, I can't push it that far, so let me just dial it 1% back. Let me just try to push almost like that and see what happens.
Heck of a save there by Tony Lucarelli as we looked back at the incident you were talking about between himself and Bobby Puckett. And we're about to go back green flag racing, a very short track where they turn less than 16-second lap time, so it doesn't take them that long to be able to get around the racetrack under pacing. It's David Harvey choosing the top. On the bottom is Kenneth Drake. Harvey gets us back underway with 22 laps to go at Lernerville and may have overdriven a little bit there in turn 1.
Yeah, Trapper just looks like he got a little bit of Kenneth Drake. That knocked him around. Caution's out.
And Kenneth Drake going to get back up onto the racing surface. That was, I believe, a 3-wide situation for the lead between Harvey, Drake, and Trapper.
Well, I was gonna start to praise Trapper here because Trapper has got these restarts, at least on the inside line here. He has it down pat. He can kind of tell when the leader starts going, and he will arc it all the way down to the inside line below the guy on the inside, but not past him, so he's still legal. But obviously, I think that was a little bit of, Kenneth and Bobby were trying to go for the same exact lane, and of course, they were going to end up meeting in the middle.
And the tough part about all of that is there is like a little bit of grass down there to the inside of where the dirt ends, but maybe only about a foot of room there before you meet a concrete barrier. So, if you're the 69 Bobby Trapper, you can't give a whole lot of room because there's not a whole lot of room to give.
Yeah, realistically, he was kind of forced to the edge of his acceptable track limits. Obviously, when you start hitting that grass, you kind of start playing that dangerous game of grip. How much grip do I have on this?
I'm just looking here on my end again, looked at a different camera angle. I don't know if there really was contact there, if the 71 just snapped loose.
I'll be bluntly honest. Yes, it was a little bit of netcode. I'm not going to lie. It was a little bit of netcode, but looking how the 69 was coming into the corner, they were going to end up making contact either way. That's the thing. Just looking at the angle, if he didn't get contact in the beginning of the turn, he would have gotten contact in the middle of the turn when they actually did collide.
It looks like Bobby Trapper may have taken responsibility for the incident. He's actually dropped to the back himself, which now leaves Don MacArthur to battle with David Harvey. Back underway, closing down 20 laps
Lucarelli just got right into the wall. Oh, Lucarelli's in the back of the 40.
And someone else up ahead of him almost spun out. I think that was Freeman. No, it's Puckett in the 40. He hangs onto it. Lucarelli comes back onto the track. It's just a matter of getting these guys separated out. Contact there ahead between Rubel and Bobby Trapper for fourth.
That 40 and the 41 have not been able to stay off each other. They have been very close together, and that's the thing when mean, you got two guys going for the same position. They've got relatively the same speed. I mean, of course, you're going to have a little bit of run-ins.
Yeah, and as well, I was observing both these guys in practice, and they spent a good portion of the practice session running around each other. So you got to think they got very familiar with each other's racing style and how they approach these corners here at Lernerville. Uh-oh, David Harvey disappearing from our screen for a moment there. Let's hope he reappears. That's your race leader. Don MacArthur might be inheriting the lead if Harvey can't enter back in.
I'm going to tell you, that has to be one of the weirdest feelings as a driver. I mean, obviously, if you're trying to chase down the guy in the lead, but he just suddenly disappears, and it's a coin toss if he's going to come back or not. That's one of the things as a driver where you're like, well, I mean, is this serious, or am I going to, in the next corner, he's just going to reappear in front of me, and I'm going to have to hit the brakes?
And whoa, someone's off track. Is that Freeman again? Yes, it is. He's this time going to at least be able to bring it back onto the racetrack as he was battling with Brian Rubel for 5th place. He'll drop from 6th down to 7th, losing a spot to Bobby Puckett. And meanwhile, up towards the front, got a good battle for 2nd place. Oleski, slide job across Bobby Trapper to take that runner-up spot.
Realistically, I'm looking at Oleski here, and Oleski has been kind of running that Trapper line, I'm going to dub it here. He's kind of been using that bottom lane to his advantage, forcing Trapper up high, and Trapper likes to really kind of push the track limits. I think he's kind of trying to force them to say, hey, go all the way out.
In the 6 starts, or the 6 races, I should say, that we had in the first half of the season, Don MacArthur only made 3 of them. But now, all of a sudden, circumstances put him out in front, about a 2 3/4 ahead of runner-up Bobby Trapper. And just an update for those that were wondering about the 17 of David Harvey. He has not returned back for the last 5 laps, so it looks like he will more than likely finish 9th place here tonight. That is such a tough break.
And that's the thing.
And Freeman's missing. Freeman's off on turn 2. You can't even see him behind the dirt mound there.
Yeah, it looks like he may have taken a trip down the embankment. It looks like he kind of overran the corner a little bit, got on 2 wheels, and tried to steer into it, and he just started rolling. No caution, though.
No caution. Now, remember, Bobby Trapper and Kenneth Drake both started 8th and 9th on that last restart. Trapper's worked his way up to 2nd. Drake has worked his way up to 4th, looking for more. Now tries to get 3rd from the 22 of Thomas Oleski.
And regardless of what happens, I mean, this is a great rally back for Kenneth Drake. Now, obviously, in his mind, the worst thing that could happen is seeing Trapper win the race and him finish about 3rd or 4th here. Really, at least what he wants to do is at least stay in range of Trapper where, hey, I mean, I can get a 3rd place finish and Trapper gets a 2nd place finish. Well, at least they'll still be about a 1 point apart.
Don MacArthur is running the inside line. He's letting it go real low into the corner, slide up to the outside through the center off of both 2 and 4. Trapper, on the other hand, has been basically running the top. This time he's going to cross lanes down to the inside. So it kind of seems like whatever MacArthur is doing, Trapper is doing the opposite, and it's working for him. What was almost 2 seconds between himself and the 116 is now almost down to half a second.
I mean, realistically, I'm looking at Don, and I've got to say, how big a win would this be for him? I mean, just looking, he had made 3 starts this season, Volusia, Lanier, and Williams Grove. I mean, pretty much for Williams Grove and Lanier, he wrecked out both races, and for Volusia, he finished 6th. So, I mean, obviously, just either bringing home a win or at least a top 3 would just be pretty much such an accomplishment for him.
Well, the last couple of laps, he's been able to run equal lap times to Bobby Trapper. That time he lost a 10th, but I think as long as he can keep about a half a second between himself and Bobby Trapper, he might be okay. He's also got time on his side in terms of the fact there's going to be 4 laps to go this next time around.
And I'll tell you, one guy I've been watching kind of come up the field here as it gives Oleski a little bit of a shot. Has to be Bobby Puckett. Puckett has... he hasn't been kind of working his way up the cleanest way. I mean, I kind of saw him getting to the back of Rubel there, and Rubel let him by, and it kind of looks like he's doing the same thing to Oleski now. We're just trying to give him a few bumps, say, hey, I'm here. Please let me by. As he overdrives it, almost it's pit road entrance. Or it looks like pit road exit there.
And we've got a car that the leaders are catching up to, Tony Lucarelli in the 41. You got to wonder if they're going to catch him before we reach the checkered flag, about maybe half a straightaway between those guys and the 41 machine, as Rubel's going to get around Bobby Puckett for the 5th position. 2 laps to go. White flag this time. The 69's within striking distance here. The question is, does he drive it deep on this final lap?
And you got the 40 and the 41 above, or ahead of both of these two, and they're both in different lines.
Don MacArthur, what's he going to do here? Will he even get to them? Will they be a factor? Trapper's got one more shot here in 3 and 4. He's going to run the top. MacArthur runs the top, and Don MacArthur's going to get his first win of the season. What a way to kick off the second half of the schedule.
And you just got to think how big of a win that is for Don MacArthur. Obviously, that kind of makes the 3 races worth it. Obviously, you don't ever really want to win in that way where you have your leader lag out, but I mean, listen, at the end of the day, a win's a win.
At the end of the day, it's just about right place, right time. You've got to take what you're given. And Don MacArthur, I mean, let's be honest, too. There's no saying that Don MacArthur might not have been able to get David Harvey for this victory. He was there in second place when Harvey had his issues. And you talk about how good the feeling is. How good is it as well to be able to keep 3-time winner and points leader Bobby Trapper in your rearview mirror? Because, I mean, the way that Trapper worked his way up through the field after restarting 9th on that last caution, he was coming.
I'm telling you, the one guy who's going to send him out a Christmas card definitely has to be Kenneth Drake. Kenneth Drake, I mean, obviously with him kind of wrecking out of the heat, not getting any points and finishing behind Trapper, he's going to lose some points here. He's not going to gang as much on Trapper as he wants to. But here's the thing, at least it lets him fight to another day where, hey, at least I'll have another shot. We're not too far apart. I didn't lose that much.
I think if my calculations are correct, he's going to lose, I think it's 6 points this week to Bobby Trapper, just based off of where they both finished in the first heat race and where they finished here in the main event. So it'll be about 51 points between the two with still 6 races to work with down the home stretch of this season. As we show you your finishing results here, let's see if we can get some interviews with our top 3 finishers. And why don't we kick things off with last week's winner? If we have him here, and second place finisher Kenneth Drake. Looks like we might have him here. Yes, we do. Hey, Kenneth, it's Matt and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
So,
Well, man, what a drive here tonight for you, having to work your way from the back to the front there with only about 20 some odd laps to go. We saw you have a little bit of trouble there in the heat. What kind of things did you learn from that heat race to apply here in the main event? Because it looked like there were a lot of places where the track wanted to get you.
I was struggling all night long. I couldn't hit my butt with both hands if I wanted to. I was just lucky where I finished.
Well, I mean, Kenneth, definitely kind of looking. Obviously, that's not kind of what you want, at least in the feature race, at least to my knowledge. Not really what you want of kind of getting sent to the back of the field off an incident. I mean, obviously, you battled back, but was there any kind of hope that, hey, if you didn't get turned around, you could just drive away and win?
I didn't think I was lucky to get a top 5 car. I figured I was going to ride the top until I was about to fall off of it and just go to the bottom, and I was getting close to falling off the top again.
I mean, Kenneth, we've been talking about in the first half of this season about the fact that Bobby Trapper, 3 wins, has been pulling away in the point stands, and all of a sudden you pick out your second win of the season last week. You start closing up that points gap. Now, you kept him within striking distance here tonight. We got Cedar Lake next week, Knoxville the following week. Are there any tracks you're eyeing that this is the place where I'm going to start reeling him in and start making this a championship battle down the home stretch?
It's going to be hard to catch him. He's going to have to not show up, but Cedar Lake might be okay. Knoxville, I'm pretty sure I'm going to struggle there. Also, being a big flat half-mile track, I've never been good at Knoxville.
Well, Kenneth, we wish you luck nonetheless. Congratulations on a third-place run here tonight at Lernerville. We're now going to give the opportunity for some thank you sponsors and shout-outs.
Oh, thank you to everybody that showed up again tonight. Hopefully, we can still get some more people here. Thanks, TNR, and thank y'all for putting on the broadcast.
That's Kenneth Drake, third place at Lernerville here this evening. Congratulations once again, and we look forward to seeing if we can talk to you next week when you guys take to Cedar Lake. And how about we see if we can get our second place finisher and still points leader, Bobby Trapper. Hey, Bobby, it's Matt and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right, so let's talk about this track here tonight at Lernerville because not a lot of room for error. A lot of drivers liked running that top side. We saw you up there near the closing stages of this race, but on restarts, we saw you run the bottom. You had 3 more laps. You were within half a second, and then you had about maybe 2.5 car lengths between yourself and the race leader on the final lap. where do you think you might have changed up your line on entry or on X on that final lap to be able to at least get alongside of that 116?
Yeah, I think I tried to change the line a couple too many times, trying to reel him in there. I think trying to leave the top and go to the bottom or middle just didn't work out in my favor. The track was really just one lane fast on the top, and no other way to get around him there.
All right, Bobby, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a 180 from Seth. Let's go ahead and look at the championship standings here. Now, I'm pretty sure you've ran it through your head about 100 times by now, but obviously we've passed midseason. Currently, you've got a 50-point lead as of the end of this race, or I believe above a 50-point lead on Kenneth Drake. But obviously, you're about 86 points ahead of Jason Freeman. I mean, is there any kind of concern or kind of at least a little bit of tracks coming up that that are going to be an issue?
To be honest, I don't really look at the points. I'm not too worried. Just take it week by week and go out there and have fun with it. But I think I did notice on the schedule a lot of the smaller tracks are still left, which I tend to like a lot more. I thought Lernerville was usually one of them, but yeah, not too worried. Just going out there and having fun.
All right, you say not too worried. I got to ask you because I want to go inside a driver's head here. I mean, we were worried for you guys watching you on the razor's edge on the back straightaway. Just how much concern does a driver have when you're running there knowing that there's no wall to save you if you overstep that boundary?
Yeah, it's a tricky track with that. Usually it's tough to get 30-some clean laps there without flirting with it and going over it at least once a little bit, but try to just make sure I didn't go over that, especially after the first incident earlier in the race. Didn't want to lose any more track position than we already did.
Well, Bobby, we knew your car was bad fast here tonight with a little more than 20 laps to go. You worked your way from 9th all the way up to 2nd place, had a shot there for the win, so congratulations on a great comeback performance there in the second half of this race. You continued to grow your points lead heading into Cedar Lake next week, and now we're going to give the opportunity for some thank you sponsors and shout-outs.
Yeah, I just got to thank Garrett and TNR and Brian and Jason, everyone else puts the league on. You guys for doing the broadcast. It's a lot of fun every week. Hopefully, you spread the word, get a few more guys running this league every week, and be a good time.
Well, that's Bobby Trapper. Another solid outing here this season. 2nd place here tonight under the lights at Lernerville. Congratulations, Bobby. Keep this consistency up. Maybe we'll talk to you in Victory Lane next week at Cedar Lake Raceway.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
And unfortunately, it would appear we do not have our race winner, Don MacArthur, available for an interview. But I think we can safely say, though, Matt, that, the elation in that race car was at an all-time high, just in the fact that, as you pointed out, he really has had a strong performance in the races he's taken part in, but just not been able to close out the deal. And here tonight, able to hold off one of the best of the season.
I mean, I'll be fully honest. I mean, everyone says, oh, yeah, I mean, it's great to win this race, but I mean, there is no feeling like, hey, I mean, just coming out and getting a victory, whether it be by a large margin or a close margin, he is celebrating. I wish him the best for that one.
And it kind of seemed like our top 2 in points weren't really playing their cards close to the chest. Bobby Trapper says that the shorter tracks coming up, he's looking forward to them. On the flip side, Kenneth Drake saying, I don't know. Some of these tracks, they might be a struggle for me. So with that being said, do we maybe look at a 3rd driver to get up there and kind of make it a 3-man fight for this championship with only 6 races left?
I mean, here's the problem. I mean, Jason Freeman, yes, he has been... To put it simply, Jason Freeman's basically been a light switch. I mean, there's some weeks where he's on and there's some weeks where he's just off. And that's the problem, where he just doesn't have that consistency to really hold true. Now, Kenneth Drake, on the other hand, we've seen him battle back up from almost nothing to kind of come back and kind of throw his name back in the hat in the contention. So I'm really more or less looking at Kenneth Drake here rather than Jason Freeman. Unless, hey, for next few weeks, maybe like Bobby Trapper said, I mean, these short tracks coming up, maybe these are in his wheelhouse. Maybe he can just really kind of turn it on and just dominate.
And again, the 2nd straight week as well, where Kenneth Drake performs really good. but Bobby Trapper is in the same neighborhood. He's going to have a stretch of races, 2, maybe 3 races where he finishes up inside the podium, talking about Drake, and Bobby Trapper finishes down towards the latter half of the top 10, maybe even outside of the top 10, for Drake to be able to gain enough points to cut that points lead down. There's only 5 races left on the schedule, and Trapper is looking forward, it sounds like, to quite a number of them down this home stretch. But that's going to do it for our coverage here tonight at Lernerville for the TNR Master Millwright Big Block Series. Your winner here tonight, first-time winner on the season, Don MacArthur. We've still got more coming up here tonight. It's a double feature on FRN, as we're going to be bringing you coverage from Charlotte Motor Speedway for the G-Force Sim Racing Series, the Vintage Clothing Cup Series. That's going to be a good one. Matt's been a good one here tonight, though, flinging dirt and watching the track fling some cars on the back straightaway here at Lernerville. Appreciate you for joining me in the booth.
Oh, always nice for you to keep opening the door for me and letting me come back in.
Absolutely. The door is always open, even though even if it was closed, you would still open it. Anyway, thanks to everyone for tuning in here tonight. We hope to see you later on here for the upcoming broadcast with the G4 Sim Racing Series. For Matthew Rodriguez, I'm Seth Cole. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday evening as you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of the Flatout Racing Network.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.